All right, this is Mudita Hard here, and this is Pierre PhD in the behind me is cracking up, and we're here to talk about Muppets Mayhem.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's probably something going on there when they had these sets, but side tangent. But anyway, yeah, it feels like these characters aren't really that fleshed out in other franchises. Like you're always kind of wondering what their whole deal is, but they actually kind of like uh kind of really flesh out these characters and fulfill like, oh, what is this character's deal, what's like how they work in an ensemble. Like like before, like in the Muppet Show, they'd be kind of like only like a few notes on the keyboard compared to the whole piano of like all the other Muppet characters. Like they'd just be playing music, but like now they're like actually fleshing out their backstories and like their personalities and stuff like that. And maybe this is gonna flesh out like, you know, the first leg of a Muppet verse where like they're gonna have the backgrounds of other Muppet characters in the Muppet universe, but who knows? That's actually something they said in this Wikipedia here.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah.
People were criticizing the Tom Cruise movie for doing the same thing.
So yeah, they might actually like start branching out. Yeah.
One thing that came to mind since you mentioned it, like, I don't know if people are gonna be like, "Oh, canon. According to this canon, Animal would never do this," compared to like something in the '60s or whatever.
Yeah, there's not really like that much.
It's more of an idea of the character, like the characters, opposed to like, what do you call it? Like comic book editing of the universe.
Like retconning or something
Not
like
really
that.
retconning, but like you're keeping all the universe like together. So like for this huge comic book editor, like
a multiverse.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they gotta like keep
like
everything
there's all
consistent.
these events like for like 100 comics are based on like this one storyline or whatever.
Yeah, like honestly, like because these characters are so unfleshed out,
Yeah,
that means they don't have to deal with continuity issues. With like, oh,
they were about like the '60s where like it was all sitcoms and stuff. So like,
yeah,
you don't have to worry about like arcs and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, like comic book fans and comic books are very serious about like having continuity and like, you know, like a fan will complain, oh, the Flash doesn't eat donuts, but in this latest comic he's eating a donut, and then like, oh, but you know, he only has donuts while drinking coffee. Okay. Because, you know, there's going to be one fan who points it out. Because, in 1978, he says he doesn't like eating donuts. And, like, so, sitcoms don't have that issue, really.
I guess
people give a lot of leeway for sitcoms, you know.
I mean, there was some of that even with the Power Ranger special Once and Always, but like, what happened to the White Ranger? Where's all the turbo powers?
Right.
When it really doesn't matter for that thing.
Right. Yeah, something about having live actors and stuff just makes people feel like it's less.
Well, the thing with Power Rangers, like, you know, after the season's over, like, the powers are destroyed or they move on to another one to combine the powers or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, you know, it doesn't really matter.
They honestly did do a pretty decent job at, like having fun callbacks and, like, continuity references to, like, the different Power Rangers series that involve that main cast.
And it didn't explain everything, yeah.
Yeah, and like they just threw in a few here and there for fun.
Yeah.
But like they didn't like have to go into it all. It wasn't like super deep. It was like a one episode's hour special or whatever. But anyway, we're getting on Power Rangers again.
Yeah.
But like in comparison with this, like they have like 10 episodes. It's not that long where it's like it's really exhaustive.
Yeah.
But it's also long enough that, like, you know, each episode has to have enough content to, like, actually kind of explore these characters.
I felt the episode sizes were pretty good, yeah. Like, especially when you have, like, 5 minutes of credits or whatever.
Yeah, these episodes are, like, you know, 30 minutes or so, and then, like, there's 10 episodes.
And, like, you have the outro, too, which is, like, another 2 minutes.
Yeah, and then there's, like, a little stinger at the end or whatever. But, yeah, like, it's a pretty tight series. It's like a mini series, really. Doesn't have to be too elaborate. They do set up a sequel, like a season 2 kind of, if they want to do that. But it also kind of ends on a good note too. Yeah. It doesn't have to go into that either.
Yeah.
But
I mean, with all the budgeting stuff and all the stuff going on at Disney, maybe they weren't sure if they were going to do it. And first they're going to see if this season does well.
Yeah,
with like the watch miss and everything.
Yeah. But I think we're putting the cart before the horse now.
Yeah.
We should actually talk about like why we like the series,
right?
Because we've been talking for like 10 minutes about like side things and Power Rangers and stuff. So like, yeah, why do we like this series? Yeah, it's fine. Why do we like the series? I don't know. Do you want to take?
It didn't offend me. The stories they weren't complicated. They weren't like, but they were like simple. I sort of like complicated things, but I sort of like simple things at the same time.
Yeah.
Everyone does a good job. The acting was great. I liked how I talked about how like they don't talk to the Muppets as if they were Muppets. They were talking to them as if they were humans or whatever.
Yeah. And, that's an important like lore thing that like inside Muppets.
I'm pretty sure like
that's part of like it's in the books and stuff that like you have to talk to the Muppets that they're like people or whatever. They're not puppets or whatever.
The original green screen, the Muppets, yeah.
Yeah, that you have to have that suspension of disbelief, otherwise it like kind of breaks down or something.
Yeah, like it was like some toxic masculine dude like working on Muppets. You'd be like, "This is ridiculous." Like,
yeah, you can't have the wrestling WWE franchise working with Muppets, really.
I was just feeling like Burt Reynolds or someone who's like who thinks is like above them or whatever.
Oh yeah, you have to. That's the thing is that it has to be very earnest.
Yeah.
You have to have like a Taj Mowry or whatever.
Yeah.
Like working with the Muppets, you know, like, and that's one of the lead actors of this is let's scroll through this.
I didn't know he still. I wonder what made him come back. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, Taj Mowry. Taj Mowry is known as a smart guy on
the brother of
the main character TJ on the WB back in the day on the 90s.
Yeah.
He was born in Honolulu, Hawaii. No way. All right. His relatives are Tia and Tamara Mowry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's the whole family there. Yeah.
Wow. All right. But he was a smart guy. And then Lily Singh is known for YouTube content, I believe.
Yeah. It's just I sort of find her a little bit too obnoxious on YouTube, but I thought she was pretty good for this.
Yeah, like the acting in this is pretty grounded.
Yeah.
And like I think like what you're saying with the acting and the characters and the earnestness and like the stories being like kind of wholesome. Like the core of this series is like it's a sitcom about this band, and sure they like get into hijinks and like there's like kind of like psychedelic references and stuff like that and all that.
Oh yes, that was a lot of fun.
There's a lot of goofy stuff like that, but it's still wholesome. They make it accessible to kids. But at the center of the series is like the interpersonal dynamics of the characters, like their backstories with their families, the Electric Mayhem themselves being a family, the human characters' families and interpersonal dynamics and love interests and love triangles and stuff like that. Those are the things that really keep the series grounded. If you just got into all the goofiness, then you kind of lose the plot of like what makes it a good Muppets thing.
I'll be like the script is really good when they do the comedy and stuff.
Yeah, and that kind of enables them to like really go out there and be goofy and stuff. But it's got to be.
It's grounded. 10 episodes, but like the comedy's very good script writing, like top tier.
Yeah, and like they really throw a lot of punches at you. Like they don't let you. There's not a lot of downtime between. Like, oh, they're gonna throw in the next punchy joke, and like it's really got a high density and good hit ratio of like, oh, here's a pun, here's a joke, here's a visual gag, here's another in character joke, here's another thing that this character would say. Like, there's a good diversity of characters that really have a lot of interesting personalities here with all the Electric Mayhem members and stuff.
One thing that occurred to me,
good screen time,
and the pilot's very strong, is like that quadruple pun with like Pink Floyd and everything.
Oh, which one?
The Wall, the Who, the Cranberries or whatever.
Yeah, that's another thing. Is like since it's about like a classic rock band from like 50 years ago.
Yeah,
they're able to just inundate this with a whole bunch of classic rock jokes and stuff like that. And like, there's also there's all these recurring gags of like, oh yeah, I know these guys from way back in the day. Yeah, these guys taught me all this and stuff. And like, I'm trying to think of an example of that. Like someone from the Carpenters or whatever would be like, oh yeah, this is the guy who taught me how to walk like an Egyptian or whatever.
We gotta get the Carpenters to work on the wall. The Who? That's what it was, yeah.
Right, that was it, yeah. And like Right, and like yeah, they really and then like some episodes like one whole episode is just filled with Beatles references and like some of them are like really subtle. Like if you didn't know the Beatles or whatever, like you'd be like, "Oh, okay, I didn't." You're like they just really sneak it in there into the dialogue
And
really
it's real,
slyly. So they're thinking, you know.
and it's really good for like rewatchabilities in case you missed it. Like, whoa, I gotta watch it again. I heard it in the coffee table or whatever,
Yeah.
or the water cooler or whatever.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's rewatchable. There's like lots of little kind of like gags and Easter eggs and like puns and stuff, and not just like goofy puns, but like actual like kind of clever. Like oh, it made me think for a second.
It wasn't like Marvel humor.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
It
Yeah.
wasn't like you're supposed to laugh at it, but we're not gonna make it good. Like it was actually like well written and witty stuff with like layers and complexity and stuff.
Interesting. It's not like just people saying something funny in a funny way, like
It feels like a little bit like Thomas Pinchoni even.
and just okay. You gotta explain this a little bit. Like
Thomas Pinchoni would like
there's,
have
layers.
will have like a whole thing of Gravity's Rainbow where it just references like 20 things that happens, and once it's references 20 things that happens in the current events or something.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, they really string along a lot of different references and jokes. Like they'll have like then they'll have like Floyd Pepper make a reference to like the 80s or whatever. Then Janice will reference like some like hippy dippy shamanistic
Or being vegan.
psychedelica or being vegan and organic stuff. Then Animal will go off and then Lips will like bring in a celebrity or something, and then Zoot will say, "Huh, what celebrity?" And it'll just like string along in these jokes. They'll all play off each other in the script, and like you can tell the script is really tightly made and stuff. Like they put a lot.
Yeah, I didn't
of
look up if there was any improv involved either.
Yeah. I think there was room for like spontaneity, of course, in the performances, but like the script must have been really tightly made to like
maybe because like the Big Lebowski, like that one scene like is all scripted apparently.
Like the scene where it's like shut the heck up, Donnie, or whatever, and like
exactly,
and like all the little pauses and everything,
and then like one subject's like what I mean, Donnie.
Okay, can we just like show an image of what that looks like? Even if we don't necessarily like show the clip, but Big Lebowski bowling scene is probably good.
Yeah.
This one?
No.
Music is really good. And like there's moments that like I'm laughing, I'm crying. Like some of the musical moments are like so touching. Like they choose like these perfect song choices and like really subtle performances. Like they don't go like really big and obnoxious that you might think with the Muppets all the time. Like they do have those moments, but then some of the moments where they choose like this music, it's like really like downbeat and like really emotional. I'm like, wow, I'm tearing up right now just thinking about it. Like they really go like for every laugh there's a tear, kind of Walt Disney kind of approach at things. He said that back in the day with like his films. Like they really did have that here with the Muppets Mayhem here, and like you don't necessarily think that's going to happen with a show like this, but they have it here. So that's important for a Muppets production. You got to have the laughing and the crying. So yeah.
Can you click on the Muppets wiki for me?
The wiki?
Yeah, let's see. So yeah, I noticed that thing on the bottom, criticism for the human characters and emphasis on social media. I thought that was a highlight in my opinion.
Oh, really?
Yes. I thought the whole love triangle thing was very good. I do criticize that they sort of just turned on each other and it didn't seem all fleshed out at times. But like, I thought that was interesting, and like it gave them like a host or something.
I mean, like, I'm not sure what this is referring to. Are they referring to like probably like? I want to see more of the Electric Mayhem. Why are they like?
That's very interesting.
Inserting these characters.
They didn't actually cite a reference on that part. There's no citation there.
Yeah, where's the?
There's no number.
Next to the sentence, here we go. Reception.
Okay,
this doesn't even say. Might be too slight to find the rainbow connection, but its ragtag band of plucky puppets and plethora showbiz gags make for a solid addition to the franchise. Yeah, there's a bunch of showbiz gags. That's like kind of since Muppet Show. Muppet Show was originally about a theater and a TV show behind the scenes, and then the Muppets.
Sort of a Muppet Show ending to it, also, without spoiling too much.
Yeah. Muppets TV series is also about showbiz from a different angle. This is about showbiz from the music industry angle.
There you go. Yeah.
And
And they incorporate social media and like, should we talk about the video game they incorporate to it? Like virtual concerts,
let's just
followers, social media. They updated it even with that and the 60s use.
It got a little too memey sometimes. It was like,
I didn't think about it those terms. Yeah,
it's like it got a little bit too much, too online towards the end. Like now, this is a whole art angle here that's like everything on the internet is like.
I guess they didn't make it come off as natural. Like. They sounded like a bunch of dweebs. It wasn't like make it come off as natural.
It felt kind of.
I felt like they were reading a script or something.
It did feel a little bit like boomers, like writing a story about social media and stuff.
I gotcha, yeah.
And like I don't know, it didn't feel like. But I guess that's also kind of the perspective of like the characters in the show, because like you know the boss of the record label, Penny, is like old, and then. Who herself is a Muppet.
Yeah.
And then she's a new Muppet in this.
Yeah.
And then the human characters are a little older. And then but they're still millennials, I think. And then who else? But the Muppets themselves, they acknowledge that these characters are like 50 years old and like they're still getting up to date with social media and stuff. But it got a little bit too indulgent. Like, look how funny social media and virtual reality are and stuff. That got kind of like, look at me, it's all goofy and stuff like that. The humor kind of fell a little bit at those points. That's a fair enough criticism, I would say.
In contrast to what the Muppets Mayhem Wikipedia says right here about the criticism of human characters, I have a criticism of the whole Dr. Teeth
moment to like have a bonding experience and stuff, to like have their breakthrough. A lot of this show is spent like them trying to write songs and not writing songs.
Yeah, we forgot about to mention that, and
that's like something I feel like is kind of weak about the show.
Should we spoil about if they actually write a song or not?
That's something
I think Luke's part of that too. Yeah.
I felt like that was something that was like I feel like it's a misrepresentation of the creative process. Is like a lot of this show.
It's a lot of hard work to actually do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of it's actually like not about like going on goofy retreats and having like crazy encounters and stuff. A lot of it's just sitting your butt in a chair and like going like, well, what do you think about this? And you're like, I don't know. Let's try. I don't know.
Are you thinking about like when you're watching the Conan O'Brien things on Simpsons?
Yeah. It's like there's literally a moment where like they have like a film crew, and well, like this to give the full context to this, I was watching this behind the scenes of like the Simpsons writing crew. With like that was being hosted by Conan O'Brien, who was one of the members of the Simpsons writing crew back in the 90s and whatnot.
Monorail.
And he wrote the Monorail episode. It was like one of his first pitches, actually. And they were like, yeah, let's do it. And they were all bonding and like catching up on their old memories and stuff. And like there was a moment where they were like, people felt like it must have been like hilarious and funny and like all the time while we were writing these shows. But like we were in this dark room in this basement. It was smelly. I was sitting next to this guy who was chain smoking all the time. We don't get the lights working. You know, they don't give us any merchandise. They're making billions of dollars.
Don't get any merchandise?
We got like a couple t-shirts or whatever.
Do they get like a cake for their birthdays or anything?
You know, they're eating like sandwiches.
Peanut butter jelly? Like Russell's ate peanut butter jelly.
They're ordering like...
Mick Foley has a whole like rant about like peanut butter jelly and sandwiches.
I don't remember exactly. They're ordering like Honolulu burgers or something like that. With like, I don't know, probably like pineapple on hamburgers or something.
I guess it's California.
That's alright, yeah.
It might be good. I don't know. I don't know what the brand is.
I mean, we're from New York, so... they're like, the best thing we look forward to all day was lunchtime. You don't have no idea. And there was one time they had a film crew trying to film them, like while they're working on their creative process, and like they're just going like, there's like 15 minutes of silence, and they're like, well, what if Marge goes like, nah, that doesn't work. Well,
nah,
I don't know. And it's just like.
And
they just sit there, and the cameras are rolling, and they're like, and eventually the film crew is like, they stop rolling, they're like, hey, can you guys like move around a little bit, like do something for the camera, like you guys are just sitting there.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of what it is. They're just sitting in a room for 8 hours, like trying to grind this out, long hours and stuff. Like
it's very interesting. That's like sort of blue collar, where everyone still looks forward to lunch, even like when you're writing.
Yeah, it's work. It's I mean, they did have moments that were highlights where like they'd be making each other laugh, and like that would be the highlight of their day and stuff.
Yeah.
But like it would be part of it would be like through that bonding of like trying to make humor. Like they'd have to really. That's why they would try to make each other laugh. Is to like help them suffer through all the work they had to put through things and stuff. Yeah. So the creative process isn't like all these fun adventures and stuff that they portray in this. Like, sometimes it is like that, but most of the time it's just like they actually just sober up and sit down and like, no, that's good. That's not. And they do show some of the creative process of it, where they're like kind of tinkering on this like melody and like. You see, oh, maybe you try this, and like, oh yeah, that's good, and usually that's between Floyd Pepper and oh man, it's like fading now. And usually, okay, I guess we're going, but and usually that's between Sergeant Pepper and Dr. Teeth or whatever. But anyway, I've been rambling on for a while.
I feel that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what else we can cover. Like it's pretty basic sitcom. And, like it does the basic stuff right. Like Tim Duncan, Mr. Fundamentals. He's tall. He puts his arm. He banks the basketball off the backboard and it goes in the hoop. Sometimes you just need basic stuff like that. Mr. Fundamentals.
Good fundamentals. Good solid writing. Good acting. Yeah. Solid show.
We might even be downplaying it, but like,
it's entertaining. It's entertaining. It's good entertainment.
Yeah. Like
solid entertainment.
Good acting. The script's very good.
Also, to like kind of like give an idea of like the kind of tone this has, like it's kind of what I was looking for in a show, in some ways. This might be the show you're looking for if you identify with this, is like I don't really want to watch horror. I don't want to watch something stressful. Sometimes I don't want to watch Succession. I don't want to watch a documentary about how the planet's burning apart. This is like just about like artists, a family, relationships, getting along, spreading a good message, telling a good story, working through problems, interpersonal problems. It's kind of like creating a better world, in like a small way, but in a fun way, in a kind of wholesome way with like these really kind of fun characters that are like, just really likable, and they're really I don't know, they're just really earnest, and you just really wholesome kind of show, and if that's what you're in the mood for, this is perfect for that, while having a few trippy moments and also some references to like hippy dippy stuff.
This is sort of, I don't want to go really into it, but like this sort of reminds me of like how like a long time ago we wouldn't be able to have a show like this because they had like Chong in this. I forget if Cheech was in this.
It was Cheech and Chong in this. Yeah, sometimes they don't show them together in recent cameos, but they had both of them in this.
Okay, and then so that thing like you worry about with parents, and like
it's clean humor. There's no it's clean humor.
It's not sexual, I guess. It's not violent.
They imply things for the adults out there. But like because of like it's classic rock.
It sort of occurred to me like if kids would realize what they're talking about is another thing.
Yeah. I think even some of the original Muppet Show stuff goes even further than this. They toned down Animal, for instance. Like now he's
right. He doesn't chase women anymore.
Yeah. They don't have that anymore. That doesn't play as well anymore. Like that's really, you don't want that.
Yeah.
So like
like the whole Pirates of the Caribbean thing.
Yeah. Pirates of the Caribbean. Like. Yeah, you want to tone it down because it's Disney, So that's it's it's a kind of solid entertainment while being like a kind of wholesome, soft around the edges kind of thing. If you're looking for that, good for the kids, good for the adults.
Yeah, because like I remember the whole thing where like people were talking about like, oh, superheroes have to be R-rated, and then like we watched Multiverse of Madness and Ant-Man Quantumania, and like. Maybe they don't need to be R-rated. Maybe we don't need to see spaghettification of like every single character ever made.
Yeah. It's I mean, that's one of the reasons I like Marvel movies. Like, it's like
Except they're sort of like crossing that barrier and like they're probably alienating the audience at the same time and the critics.
Yeah, it's just like most Marvel movies, except for like Multiverse of Madness and a couple moments in Quantumania, is like it's just at that right kind of level of like, oh, there's like a big crisis, but you know it's gonna get resolved in the end by the good guys, and you know it's kind of it's like humor for like you know adults could watch it and stuff without being bored to tears or whatever. But it's also like something that you know it's supposed to sell toys still, so like it's kids can watch it with you. So, so it's kind of hitting that tone. You gotta have that like middle all ages kind of like all ages, but also for adults kind of tone.
I feel like Muppets Mayhem takes the hard way out, whereas like Quantumania and Multiverse of Madness for like when they do violence or when they do like these complicated things, take the easy way out and it doesn't work.
What do you mean hard way and easy way, man? We should wrap up soon.
Yeah, I mean like what they were trying to do with like making like Wanda very dark and like trying to destroy everybody and it has like the invincible stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas like the Muppets are actually trying to solve like problems that like we'd face in our daily lives.
Yeah.
They're so much more complicated.
Yeah.
And because they're interpersonally based, requires a lot of socio-emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And also in a group of people too. Yeah, so yeah, that's and like how they resolve their conflicts and how to get along with each other is actually a really good model for the children and adults alike, honestly. So that's something I like a lot about this piece, and even like this work, and like it might even go further than a lot of even other Muppet stuff. Even like Sesame Street doesn't even go this far, you know, in terms of that, in terms of like how they resolve these conflicts and stuff.
Well, I don't know.
Now I'm opening up another can of worms just by saying that.
Yeah.
But anyway, we could maybe save that for another time.
Yeah. I was like, it was more like resolution stuff. It was more like
conflict resolution. Yeah.
I figured it was like, because I do like some of the Sesame Street scripts, and I do like some of the Muppets Mayhem.
I'm talking about like modern Sesame Street, where like it's targeting very small preschoolers and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, not like classic like.
Because when you said that, I was thinking of like the Mr. Rogers episode of Sesame Street.
Yeah, that's like top. That's top tier. That's like 10 out of 10.
Which maybe I consider this top tier even.
Yeah. This is like that kind of stuff. It's going back to those roots of like what like Muppets can be about and stuff.
Yeah, you have to take the hard way out instead of the easy way out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's literally to summarize this, like there's literally a Jim Henson quote that like there's something like that where like you know it's you see all these conflicts in the world that people are trying to solve through violence, but sometimes you have to risk being a do-gooder and like trying to find like a much harder solution that involves like making peace and resolving conflicts in a peaceful way. And I think he was probably being quoted around the time he was working on Fraggle Rock, when he was working on that, which in its original intention, nerding out a bit, was like supposed to like try and like address world peace and the Cold War and stuff.
Oh wow.
So yeah, drop that there. This is a kind of show that's trying to get to those kinds of goals a little bit in its own small micro way. So yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe we'll end on that note.
Yeah. I'm very curious about that for another time, yeah?
Yeah.
When we do the Fraggle Rock review, I guess.
Yeah, that'll be a good time, right? Yeah. And that also has a lot of music in it too.
Yeah.
Alright, anyway. Alright, so yeah, that should be it for the review.
Yeah.
Very good show. Watch it. Hopefully we get a season 2.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Maybe Electric Mayhem at Walt Disney World Hollywood Studios.
Maybe this could be.
Maybe they expand the Muppet Land a little bit. Maybe they have a little booth where they just do a little singing.
I mean, the Muppets are ripe for Renaissance, and I feel like MCU.
This is a little Muppet Renaissance, right?
Mini Muppet Renaissance happening right now.
Like MCU, like they have to pay all these actors, and they're all leaving. But
MCU is in recession. Yeah. Muppet opportunity for smaller.
Gotta diversify.
Smaller IPs to like rise up. So Muppets
and maybe Tron too.
This is exactly what happened in like a poster session in 2008. It was like Tron, new Muppets movie in 2011. Like,
yeah, that's really weird, right?
Avatar,
that's very scary, right?
Avatar film came out around 2009 also. Seems like beat for beat, all the same things happening.
That's really weird.
Yeah.
You're scaring me.
Anyway, well, let's not talk about recession now. I don't know why I opened that can of worms. Anyway,
but at the time,
I keep opening cans of worms. Anyway, we've been trying to wrap this up. This video is going to be very long, and I don't think we're going to edit this much. So, yeah, it's also probably taking up a lot of space on my hard drive. Anyway,
let's finish it up.
Let's wrap up. All right, thank you so much for listening.
Thanks so much, guys.
Stay strong, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Happy watching.
Next time.
This is.
Can you imagine that?
This is Mudita Heart.
Great PhD.
All right, take it easy.
Take it
Can
easy.
you imagine that?